Okay, I'm a little disappointed at why my video keeps turning off. But we're gonna download each one of them, even if it turns out to be a short. We're still gonna download it. We're gonna download it anyway, right? Because nothing we say or do is irrelevant. No. So I'm gonna go over here to this boba place that I was thinking about going to see if they have some, bobas that I could purchase for my daughter's birthday present. Her birthday is actually tomorrow. And she called me today and I was telling her I'll probably send her a little money. I was trying to, do the thoughtful thing, but there's like circumstances after circumstances after circumstances that happened that made me not do the care package that I wanted to do for her. Okay? But I still might do it if the boba, is, if you're able to buy the boba and actually make the boba at home. But if this is just like one of those shops where you have to buy it there, drink it, they make it, you drink it, we ain't doing that. But I won't know unless I actually go and check it out. And then I can also ask them, do they have a supply or know of anyone? Because my daughter used to go crazy for those things. And I like to buy things that people like. If I'm going to buy something for them, I want to buy things that they actually like. I don't like buying stuff that I don't know that they're going to like. It's like, you might as well just give them a little bit of money and let them do what they do. Right? Because at least you're being honest by, by stating you don't know what they like. You don't know. So, but I do know she likes boba. I do know she likes those hot pots. Those Chinese hot pots. Those are expensive bowls of food, right? I think like one bowl was $25. So I mean, even if I give her $50, she'll be able to get her like a bowl, a hot pot, and a boba drink. $50 like that. But of course, like I said, I'm not completely aware of the inflation that's going on here. I know I'm still in shock, and the people who aren't in shock, they must be finding some way to deal with it. They must be dealing with it some kind of way. And I just can't see myself dealing with it in a way where, I'm going to be around somebody that I don't like, can't stand, but I need them because, I can't afford to be independent. And that's kind of how it is. But here's the thing. That kind of setup is not going to make people more grateful to people that, are, a lifeline for them. It's not. It's going to make them maybe even wanted to detach even further and, get mad because they don't want this type of lifeline situation going on, so much so that you end up in bad situations where, people would rather, figure out a way to get rid of the ones that, is supposed to be their lifeline, but they don't like them. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, it was more serving than selling. So that's not going to work out. Okay. Okay. I am breathing better. I really want to try these. The mint frosty. The frosted mint. The thin mint frosty. I think I will. Why not? Why not? Does look like their frosty has went up some. But I haven't had any ice cream in over 6 months.
What are Renee rating?
Yeah. I wanted to try the thin mint frosty.
You want chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
What size? Small? Medium?
Medium.
What else for you?
That's all.
410.
Okay. 410 for a medium thin mint frosty. $4.10. Wow. But we won't be buying much of this. Due to the price alone.
410.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Here it is. Here it is. It is. A thin mint frosty. Okay. It's a little messy. I never knew that Frosties could be drink like a shake. And they can't. They cannot. So I figured it was too thick. Okay. So we did that. Got out of the house. Got the Sudafedrin. But she was saying that this allergy medicine can be taken every 4 hours. So, yeah. She said that at Kroger's, it's actually cheaper than CVS. Yeah, CVS is more expensive. Even if this allergy medicine allows for the drainage to complete, I'll be happy. But the mucus in my chest and in my throat and in my sinuses have been so thick that, like I said, even trying to blow my nose, I'm popping my eardrums. And I noticed there's a lot of people who are reporting that they've been sick. They've been sick. They might feel better, right? But a lot of us, we've been sick, knocked on our ass. And even myself, I'm still trying to function because it's been a month. I've even went to work, but the type of coughing fits and stuff that I would have while I was at work, you know, I was leaking in my drawers. You know, because, you know, if you cough hard enough, you know, you have some kind of incontinence. And sometimes you can sneeze. You can sneeze the pee out of you. For sure. I don't feel like going home though. And I've already taken my walk. And I don't feel like doing any dashing or any Ubers. But I do want to contact my daughter again to see, you know, what app does she use? How does she go about, you know, finding out who's doing Uber Eats? Because, you know, probably tomorrow I might be up and running, you know, dashing and Ubering. Okay. So right now, I just want to go someplace and watch the sunset. That's what I feel like doing. Going someplace and watching the sunset. And you know, I work hard at home. I hurt my thumb. I have me a minty frosty that's probably melting. And you know, I don't have to go home. That's the main thing that I have to get through my head. I don't have to go home. I can go chill out by the lake and watch the sunset. Something I don't generally do. I don't just go and sit and relax, right? I always go out with an intent, you know, to walk, to film, to, you know, and to get my ass back home. Even though right now I'm saying, okay, you know, I want to be able to, you know, go to the lake and sit there until the sun sets. The sun is probably not going to set for another 2 hours. I haven't just sat outside doing nothing for 2 hours unless I was in my backyard. And even when I was in my backyard, I was probably doing something. Right? So I'm gonna have to learn how to relax. That's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to learn that, you know, life is too short to be sitting up here being so intentional and so, you know, financially worried, right? Because, you know, I just realization that yeah, I'm poor. And if I can just come to that conclusion that I'm poor, why would I make a big deal about running after the money? Because the money is not a big deal. So when I went into Valero's, I got these for $1. So I bought 2 of them. It's a cranberry antioxidant mix. Yeah. And I also got 3 Monsters for $7.50. I believe it was $7.50 or $7. $7 for 3 Monsters. So I got 3 Diet Monsters. Because like I said, even though I bought that liquid death, it doesn't have any flavor. Right? I mean, it doesn't have a savory flavor. So I'm like, I'm adding flavor to it. And hopefully, still being able to take advantage of the vitamins that it has. However, I am so proud of myself. For 5 days in a row, I have walked for 30 minutes in the morning before I even got out of the house. Did my lightweight exercises, walked for 30 minutes, and then, sort of hung out, right? And then I've been trying to incorporate a second walk, right? Because I'm not working. Normally I would have allowed, that 10 hour of hard labor to be my exercise routine. But I know I'm going to miss that $400 a week. I know I'm going to miss it. I don't miss the job, but I will miss the $400 a week. For sure, I'm going to miss it. So, that's why right now I'm trying to figure out, I know it was necessary. It was something that had to happen. I know it was on its way to happening. Right? I just wish that they would have, put me in another position so that I wouldn't have to suffer financially. Right? And it won't be like I would have worked there for very long. I just would have worked there, for about a year. Right? But, everything happens for a reason. And I have to accept that. everything happens for a reason. And for whatever the reason is, it will be revealed. Clarity will come. Right? Right now, I'm just chugging along doing what I think I should do as I can do it. Okay? Which is, gearing up to do deliveries as my own boss. Doing things at the house as my own boss. Because ain't nobody gonna do it for me. I live alone. I walk alone and I pay for one. Okay? And, from what I've seen, about the rental situation out there, it's cold-blooded and cold-hearted, right? And I'm not in a situation where, oh yeah, you can just pay on the first and not have to worry about, late charges. Or if you're late, beyond 3 days, then they want to evict you, right? Talking about it's just business. I can't even see myself going back into that kind of a situation willingly. But with home ownership, I can wait until, and pay on the 16th, right? Before I face any late charges. And it may not be the best of homes, but I'm not living in a car, And some people might say, well, you might as well be living in a car. And I'm going to be like, no, that's not true. That's not true. Because, if the money opens up, and I'm able to get an equity loan or and furbish and renovate my home, the first thing that I'm going to have to do is to make my home airtight, and also, get my central heating and air conditioner work, and then at least I'll be comfortable. $5 for the first month? Ooh-wee. Getting it airtight, it will also keep the pest out. Okay? she a cusper, right? She's a cusper, but she's also a part of the spring equinox thing, and she has a stellium in her first house of Aries. Very, very psychic, very, very powerful. Birth chart. I hadn't really studied her birth chart because, of course, you know, me being her mother, you know, I would want her to utilize the full potential of her birth chart if I studied her birth chart, right? But, you know, opting to allow her to grow at her own pace and choosing to understand that, you know, she's a natural high priestess. She's a natural high priestess. No ifs, ands about it. Both of my daughters are high priestesses and they don't even know it. You know, they got gifts, they got power, but you know, they want to opt to be regular people. And I understand that because I opt to be a regular person. And I did that when I was 5 years old, right? When they were like, oh my gosh, you know, you're such an intelligent person, you know, do you actually know what you drew, right? When I'm drawing, you know, the blood circulatory system of the human anatomy, you know, and I'm telling them, shit, if I tell them exactly what I know, these people will have me ushering into not having a whole life of, you know, into not having a whole life, right? I wouldn't have a life of my own. And that's what I had opted to do. I had opted, you know, instead, you know, live my own life on my own terms, in my own way, you know, and I guess so are my daughters. My daughters are doing the exact same thing. And I don't blame them not one bit. Because, you know, our society, you know, they'll take advantage of you, right? And use you, abuse you, chew you up, and spit you out. And that's what our society will do. And, you know, sure, you may live a very exclusive, you know, eccentric type of life, you know, if you allow them to program you the way they want you to be programmed. It's a choice. In my opinion, it's a choice. You got to make that choice. If that's what you want to do, and you make that choice, or if you want to be like a regular, natural human being, just, you know, exceptionally savvy, you can choose to do that too. Oh boy. Baseball season has started. I guess so. We got all these people at these baseball fields. So I guess baseball season has started. Whew. So these guys, you know, they got seasonal things just running in one right after another. We just had, I believe, football season. And now we're going to have like baseball season. Then I guess it's basketball season. Oh no. Baseball season and track and field season through the summer. And then baseball and then basketball season towards the end of summer. Okay, so we're at the lake, and I'm gonna try to rest for a couple of hours and watch the sunset. Like I said, I have not been able to do it. Is to pull out this towel. And just rest at the lake. It's beautiful up here. Okay, I have decided to try to earthing, right? This is where you get in contact with the vibrational frequency of the earth. And I'm gonna get, I think I'm gonna reread some of my, I've already read this book once, but it's Exploring the Fourth Dimension, Secrets of Paranormal, okay? This was part 2 of the Celestine Prophecy, okay? In the contents, it's talking about clearing the decks, case against scientism, 1, 2, 3, the egg-headed part, flying saucers and footsteps in the attic, the brainy part, or Perot's little gray matter, mummy knows best sometimes, looking for the brain's back door, the invisible threads, can the ever-rolling steam flow uphill? If I am here, who's that out there? The end of the beginning. The spooky part with naughty little devils. The holy part, or a pilgrim progress. Climbing up the golden stairs. So where do we go from here? Appendices, the even more egg-headed part, radio communication, the EPR paradox, time as a dimension, multiple universes, unisymmetrical universes, and the epilogue, colored nailed to the mask, okay? Let me go 259. Multi-universes. Consider the model of the hypercube, right? And the requirements. If all 8 cubes are identical, including the outer one, then all 8 must occupy the same volume of 3-dimensional space, yet remain outside each other when viewed in 4 dimensions. It's followed that a given point, say the center of one cube, will coincide in 3 dimensions with the equivalent points of the other 7 cubes being separated from each one of them by a 4th dimension only, just as in the Atlas analogy. Okay, see page 63, Atlas analogy. Let's see what that says. Okay. Flexible space in other universes. Let me return to the subject of multidimensional objects. If you think deeply of the implications in the hypersphere and the hypercube and the limitations of 3-dimensional models, it is not difficult to appreciate that the existence of a 4th dimension would radically upset our concept of space and distance based on 3. Right? Arthur Koestler, discussing the work of a professional John A. Wheeler of Princeton University, remarks, Wheeler's superspace, which has an infinite number of dimensions, has some remarkable features. One of them is a multiple connectivity. This means, to put it in simple and simplified language, that regions which in our homespun 3D space are far apart may be temporarily brought into contact through tunnels or holes in superspace. Koestler emphasized that these are not the same as black holes as discussed later. Okay? And so that gives this sort of image here of like bugs living on a map and how far a bug in London is from his friend in New York. 2 dimensions, right? In 3 dimensions, you know. Okay? But despite the suggestion by some authorities that Wheeler's ideas are a little over the top, and his own insistence that they should not be used to justify a belief in the paranormal, this particular concept is relatively simple to support by analogies. Let me return to our bugs living on a large bubble. Now distort the bubble by pushing inward 2 opposite sides towards the center as shown. Okay? In figure 9b. So that would be, let me change the front. Okay? Anyway, on page 55, yeah, like that, right? 2-dimensional bugs on a bubble, traveling around the universe, multiple connectivity, and impossible triangle, right here, okay? So, even when the 2 sides are almost touching, the bugs will still be totally unaware that the other side of their universe is only a fraction of an inch away beneath their feet. Now, use some 3rd-dimensional force to poke one of the bugs through the two surfaces, he will find himself half a universe away from his friends, having traveled a very short distance through a hole in an unknown dimension. As an alternative illusion of this very point, consider two bugs living on a flat map of the world, one in New York and the other one in London. Now fold the roll of the map as shown in figure 10, and the two could be within a very short distance of each other through the third dimension and remain unaware of that fact. Like this right here. They're folding it. So you got England here, and then you have somebody here in New York. Okay. This leads to a variation on the idea. Think of an atlas of such maps with two-dimensional creatures living on a page. Now, if one of those creatures could only penetrate the thickness of a sheet of paper, he could move from Westminster Bridge to the South Sea Islands or Antarctica by moving a fraction of an inch. Furthermore, each page could be of infinite size, a complete universe, and the paper of microscopic thickness. The analogies are clear. Hold on.